Hello, good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever. I'm just gonna talk until I feel like words make sense. I haven't talked that much today. Usually when you don't talk for a while in the morning and then you start talking and then everything just sounds weird and it's like weirdly difficult to get words out. That's kind of how it is right now. I know that most people don't care what my specific goals are. This video is more an exercise in accountability for what I want my own recovery to look like. But I encourage you to watch this whole video in case it inspires you to make your own concrete goals for getting through whatever it is you need to get through. I'm hoping this will also give some direction and context for some of my future videos. And at the end, I'll also be sharing some of my current favorite things about my life now and things that have been bringing me a lot of comfort, in case that gives you all some ideas of how to get through difficult shit. So my first goal in recovery is weight gain. I know that this is kind of the crux of my recovery. There's not much I can do without gaining weight. And it's hard in a society that demonizes weight gain so much, so I need to find it within myself to flip this narrative and view weight gain as something that is a positive, or at least acknowledge that it's something that needs to happen. I've done a lot of mental work, but the physical work of recovery is something that is not always talked about. It's difficult to gain weight in a safe but effective way after being restrictive and malnourished for an extended period of time. Bodies are wild and complicated, and it takes a lot to heal, but I know that I can't recover without gaining weight. Unfortunately, you can't still control your body size and shape while also trying to recover, and I've been trying to do that exact thing for so long, and I can tell you that it just doesn't work. So in order to meet this goal of weight gain, I need to stick to a meal plan. I want to approach a place of food freedom, but you can't just jump from a place of restriction to a place of freedom. This is where the meal planning kind of comes in. I still need to structure my meals in order to follow through with them, and that's okay. Most normal people don't have a meal plan. So some judgment comes up when I think about myself having to follow one, but intuition still doesn't come naturally to me. So it's kind of what's necessary for now. One day I'll get to a place where eating doesn't have to be so regimented, and when my body and mind are more in harmony and can trust each other again. So that's my second goal, my second recovery goal. So weight gain and following a meal plan. And I also want to do food challenges, which is something I've talked a good bit about on this channel before. Things don't become less scary when you avoid them. In order to fully dive in and convince my brain that foods aren't scary, I need to challenge them repeatedly. This includes challenging specific food rules, going out to eat, eating around others, and incorporating certain foods into my meal plan. Repetition here is necessary, and it's not just like a one and done sort of situation. It's just like facing any other fear, like public speaking. Doing it once isn't enough to convince your brain to stop freaking out about whatever the thing is. A big goal that I have is limiting compulsive exercise, and I don't really even know what else to add to this one, really, because it freaks me out so much. Not having exercise as a way to cope with anxiety scares the shit out of me. Maybe even more than the food aspect of recovery, but it's something that needs to be done if I ever want to have time to explore more nourishing and fulfilling ways to spend my time, and to also have a safe relationship with movement and exercise again eventually. I've done a video on this topic, so I'll link it below in case you also struggle with compulsive exercise, or just want to know more about it. But limiting exercise is a huge goal that I have, and one that has been the hardest in the past for me to achieve. All of these things will bring up a lot of anxiety. So another goal that I have is to lean into my coping skills more. I have a lot of coping skills in my arsenal at this point. Some are kind of hokey or cliche, but I mean, they're used for a reason. Breathing exercises are the easiest and most accessible method I've found for coping with immediate anxiety. It's really crazy the power you can harness through utilizing your breath. While the breathing is more of a mindful coping skill, distraction is also a valid method as well. If what you've got to do is just tune out and watch a true crime video on YouTube in order to get through the hard shit, then that's okay. Yeah, that's totally fine. And distraction can be really useful. Another coping skill that has recently been really good for me is vocalization. Literally speaking out loud what the fear is that you're experiencing and see if you can analyze it from there. And even if you don't have the capacity to analyze it, speaking it out loud can make the fear lose some of its weight on your mind. Recovery is probably the hardest thing you'll go through in your life, and it's extremely mentally and emotionally exhausting. So developing coping skills that are based in self-compassion is really key. Finding a sense of adventure and humor in my recovery is another big goal that I have. I mentioned it in my last video. There is a place for adventure in recovery. It's rediscovering who you are without your eating disorder or mental illness, which is exciting. It's rediscovering your love of food. It's trying things you haven't tried in years. For every challenge, there is room to view it as a mini adventure, and that's the perspective that I'm going to try to have moving forward. It doesn't always need to be a have to do or a should do. You can reframe it as like something that you get to do. The last goal that I have is to focus on the victories, however small. It's often the little things that add up and lead to big shifts. This looks like little rules being broken over time, again through repetition. Anytime you're able to ignore or shut down the disordered thoughts is a huge win. I can get really down on myself, especially because my own weight gain journey specifically has been such a struggle. But any progress is worth acknowledging. With an illness that is so tied up in guilt and shame, you shouldn't also be ashamed for not getting better as quickly as you feel like you should be. It has taken me a long time to get rid of this guilt and be open to validating my progress so far. It helps so much to view my recovery as a positive thing instead of this immense mountain that you have to climb every day. So now on to some of my current favorite things and ways to kind of cope and get through stuff, in ways to feel more comfortable. I watch a lot of Kendall Rae on YouTube. She's great. Something about her brings me a lot of comfort, even though the subject matter of her videos is really dark and twisted. Somebody's mowing their lawn, of course. I Weigh is a podcast with Jamila Jamil. It's excellent and inspires me and uplifts me. It reminds me that I'm not alone in my struggle and that getting to the other side of a tough situation is possible. She has a lot of really interesting guests on her podcast, and all the conversations are always just very insightful. And yeah, I encourage anybody who kind of needs a little boost to listen to the iWay podcast. I focus a lot on sensory experiences in my environment. I always have a cozy blanket and a nice smelling candle around. It makes me feel grounded and more comfortable in my surroundings. Any little thing that eases some anxiety is worth doing. I also have this one pair of sweatpants that I'm wearing right now that I absolutely love. And even if they kind of make me look like a slob, I don't really care because they make me comfortable and keep my mind off of body checking when I wear them. So if you struggle with body checking, I encourage you to find a couple articles of clothing that bring a sense of peace and prevent you from fixating on body image thoughts. Music is another sensory thing that I've been turning to recently. I've been more intentional about what I listen to, making it specifically something that inspires me or motivates me. I even made a whole recovery playlist that ranges from Destiny's Child to some super angsty metal. So whatever works. Doing these videos has also been a really great outlet for me. If I can also even impact or help one person by posting these, then they're worth doing. They help me process and vocalize the shit that's in my head, and I'm really grateful for that opportunity. And I encourage everyone to find their outlet for doing this. Keeping things bottled up is never a good situation. So continuing to do these videos is something I'm proud of, and that has given me more purpose and kind of direction in my recovery, I think. My support system, my family, and my providers are really great. I feel love when I can't access self-love. I get motivated when I can't motivate myself. I get told what to do when I'm unable to make decisions for myself. Some things you can't do alone, and going through recovery can feel very isolating. Find your people, whether they're in person or online, family or professionals. You can still be in the driver's seat of your recovery, but it's okay to have somebody look at the map and help you navigate. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about today. I hope that this was helpful to someone other than just me, but if not, that's okay too. In the spirit of adventure, I plan to make these videos more fun and experimental, but I really just wanted to lay out my goals first for my own sanity and just to kind of get them out there in a concrete way. So anyway, that's the plan, and I hope you have an amazing day.